Listen, see, in this world we living in today, transparency get praised, but privacy get lost. Everybody trying to show everything, feelings, moods, relationships, like validation live in the public. But truth is, what's sacred ain't meant for everybody. And for a woman, especially a strong one, protecting her essence ain't about secrets, it's about survival. So when I say a woman must always hide 3 things from a man, I don't mean lie. I mean protect what's precious until it's proven safe. There's power in mystery, grace in silence, and wisdom in timing. Let's break it down. See, not every man deserves front row seats to your healing. That's the truth a lot of people don't want to hear, because the world keeps telling women to be open, to communicate, to share their truth, but they don't talk about discernment. They don't talk about when and with who. See, pain is sacred. It ain't meant for public consumption. It's the blueprint to your soul, the cracks, the lessons, the resilience that came from the breaking. And when you hand that story over too early, before someone's earned that level of access, you ain't just being honest, you're being vulnerable in front of someone who might not know what to do with that truth. And that's dangerous. You ever notice how easy it is for people to love the healed version of you? Everybody claps for the comeback story, but nobody want to sit through the process, the nights you couldn't breathe, the mornings you couldn't move. That's the part they skip, but that's the part that made you. So when you share that pain too soon, when you offer it up to someone who ain't proven steady yet, you're giving him the manual on how to break you again. Not always intentionally, sometimes it's just ignorance. But either way, your pain don't belong in hands that ain't steady enough to hold it. A lot of women confuse connection with compatibility. Just because he listens, don't mean he understands. Just because he comforts you, don't mean he could carry what you've been through. Sometimes he's only there for the story, not the struggle. And that's where so many get caught. You meet somebody who shows interest, who asks about your past, and it feels safe. You start opening up about the betrayal, the heartbreak, the losses, the childhood scars. You think you're building closeness, but what you might be doing is giving him a map to your most fragile parts. Later on, if things go sideways, that same map becomes a weapon. He knows where to hit to make it hurt the most. That's why you got to protect your pain like treasure, because it is. I've seen women pour out their soul to a man they barely know, hoping for healing through his presence, hoping that if they share their truth, he'll value it enough to handle it with care. But healing don't come from exposure. It comes from alignment. You got to be whole enough to know your worth before you invite someone into your wounds. Otherwise, you'll start mistaking attention for therapy and validation for love. And that's a dangerous exchange, because attention fades and love built on pity ain't love at all. There's beauty in being strong, but there's wisdom in being selective. You don't owe everyone your history. You don't have to explain your silence, your scars, or why your smile took time to come back. The right person won't need the full story to treat you right. They'll respect your boundaries before they even understand them. They'll sense your depth without you bleeding to prove it. I remember hearing this story about a woman who went through a rough breakup, years of manipulation, mental games, and control. When she finally left, she promised herself she'd be honest in her next relationship, that she wouldn't hold back. So when she met someone new, she laid everything out, told him about her insecurities, her fears, the triggers left behind from the last man. And for a while, he seemed patient. But one day, during an argument, he threw her pain back in her face, used her story as a weapon. "That's why you so messed up," he said, and right there she realized she gave the wrong person her sacred truth. She handed her pain to a man who didn't have the character to protect it. That moment taught her that healing ain't about how fast you open up. It's about how carefully you guard what's precious until it's proven safe. The right man, he gonna earn that truth. He gonna take his time learning you. He won't rush your story. He'll wait for you to unfold it. He'll notice your triggers without making you feel weak for having them. He'll hold space without trying to fix you. That's how you know it's real. When someone respects the parts of you that ain't pretty without needing to dissect them. See, love ain't surgery. It's presence. It's the quiet understanding that says, you don't have to tell me everything right now. I'm not going anywhere. Healing is sacred work. It's private, internal, spiritual. You're rebuilding something that was once broken. You're teaching your spirit how to trust again. And you can't rush that just because someone new showed up. Sometimes we crave connection so deeply we mistake companionship for safety. We think if someone sees our pain, they'll love us more, but truth is, not everyone deserves to meet that version of you. The broken version, the bleeding version, that's for you to handle first. You don't owe anyone access to your process until you're ready to share it with peace, not desperation. You gotta remember, your pain is part of your power. It's proof that you survived something meant to destroy you. And just like power, pain needs to be managed, protected. You can't let everyone plug into it. Some people will drain it, others will distort it. But the right one, he'll respect it. He'll understand that silence don't mean distance, and that patience is a form of love. He'll create space for you to breathe, not pressure you to explain. And this ain't just about romance either. This is about anyone, friends, family, co-workers, anybody who demands access before earning trust. Boundaries ain't walls, they're filters. They keep what's pure inside and block what's harmful from getting close. When you start honoring your own boundaries, you'll start attracting people who honor them too. You'll realize that real connection don't require you to relive your pain for proof. You can be authentic without being exposed. When you finally learn to protect your pain, you stop bleeding on people who didn't cut you. You stop seeking healing from the same kind of energy that hurt you in the first place. You start recognizing that your story ain't a gift for anyone to unwrap. It's a covenant between you and the lessons you survived. It's your testimony, and you share it when it's time, not when you're pressured. A woman who learns to guard her pain walks different. She speaks slower, listens deeper. She's not cold, she's careful. She's not distant, she's discerning. She knows the cost of opening up too soon, and she's learned that her peace is more valuable than her need to be understood. And when she finally does open up, it's not from a place of needing validation. It's from a place of confidence. She's saying, this is what I went through, and this is how I grew. That kind of transparency is power, not vulnerability. So no, not every man deserves front row seats to your healing. Some people belong in the balcony, watching your growth from a distance. The front row, that's reserved for those who show up with consistency, with care, with patience. The ones who don't rush your process, who don't judge your scars, who don't use your story to measure your worth. The ones who know that your silence sometimes speaks louder than your words. Pain is sacred. It's a teacher, not a trophy. And when you finally learn to honor it, to protect it, you stop looking for someone to save you and start realizing you already saved yourself. See, not every man deserves front row seats to your healing. Some seats in your life are earned, not given. Your pain, your story, your scars, those are sacred chapters. They hold the lessons that molded your strength, the boundaries that taught you what self-respect really means. And when you hand that story over too early before someone's proven they can handle it, you're not being vulnerable, you're being exposed. You're giving a man the blueprint to your weakness before you even know if he's the type to protect it or use it against you. We live in a time where people confuse sharing with healing. They think if they speak their pain out loud, it'll somehow dissolve. But words don't fix what actions created. Real healing don't happen in conversation. It happens in solitude, in prayer, in that quiet space where you learn to forgive yourself for staying too long, trusting too easily, or loving too hard. See, the world loves to tell women to open up, to communicate more, but what they don't say is only share your truth with those who know how to hold it gently. Pain is sacred. It's your private teacher. It's what separates who you were from who you becoming. When you share it too soon, you give away power that's still forming. And too often, that story gets mishandled. You ever notice how some people act interested in your pain, but really just want to know your weak spots? They'll say they want to understand you, but deep down, they're just taking notes. And then when things shift, when tension rises, suddenly your vulnerability becomes their weapon. You ever tell somebody what broke you, in the next argument they throw it back like ammunition? That's why you got trust issues. That's why your last one left. Words that cut deeper than the first wound. That's why you protect that pain, not to hide, but to heal in peace first. Healing in silence ain't about secrecy, it's about safety. Because peace don't grow in noise. Sometimes you gotta sit with your own pain long enough to understand it before you hand it to someone else. I've seen women pour their souls into men who weren't ready to receive that kind of truth. They thought love meant full disclosure, that honesty would guarantee safety, but honesty without discernment is dangerous. You don't give the same access to a stranger that you give to a partner, and not every partner deserves to know your past. A man has to show consistency before he's trusted with your vulnerability. You gotta prove that he can hold your silence without needing to feel it, that he can handle your emotions without taking them personally. That's what earns trust. Not sweet words, not charm, but emotional discipline. The right one gonna listen without judgment. He ain't gonna rush your healing, try to fix your pain or make it about him. He gonna respect your silence. He gonna know when to speak and when to just be present. That kind of understanding is rare, but it exists. That's why you wait. You wait until actions confirm intentions. You wait until patterns match promises. Cause a man who truly wants to know you won't mind earning that access. He'll see your guard not as rejection, but as protection of something valuable. I once met a woman who said she used to tell every man her story, her heartbreaks, her childhood, her mistakes, thinking it would make them love her deeper. She thought that if they knew her pain, they'd handle her gently, but instead they saw her openness as permission to test her limits. One man even told her, "You told me your ex cheated, so I knew you'd forgive it once." That broke her. But that moment also taught her something powerful. Not everyone deserves the full story. Some people only deserve the summary, because your story is sacred ground and not everyone's energy is clean enough to walk on it. Healing requires privacy. Growth requires silence. There's a certain strength in moving through pain without an audience. That's where transformation really happens. See, when you tell your story too early, you allow other people to define it for you. They start interpreting your pain, analyzing your trauma, and offering advice from perspectives that don't align with your soul. That's how confusion gets planted where clarity should grow. When you sit with yourself first, when you cry, reflect, pray, and rebuild, by the time you share your story, it's no longer a wound, it's wisdom. Too many women expose their wounds hoping for comfort and end up getting analyzed instead of understood. There's a big difference between someone who wants to help you heal and someone who's just curious about your damage. The first one listens to understand, the second one listens to compare. You can feel the difference. One brings peace, the other brings judgment. Protect your energy enough to tell them apart. When you finally meet a man who deserves to know your pain, you'll know it, because he won't ask for details. He'll feel the depth in your silence. He'll respect that some parts of you are still under construction. He won't demand access to every room in your soul. He'll understand that trust isn't a gift, it's a process. And you'll realize that real love don't rush, it builds, brick by brick. See, strength ain't about pretending you never hurt. It's about knowing when to share your hurt and with who. It's about realizing that some parts of your healing journey are meant just for you and God. The world don't need to see your tears to know you cried. The right man don't need to hear your pain to recognize your power. Your silence can be your strength, your privacy can be your peace, and your boundaries can be your protection. A woman's pain is powerful. It's energy that can build or break, depending on how it's handled. That's why you guard it. That's why you don't give it away casually. A man who hasn't earned your trust won't know how to carry your pain. He'll drop it, mishandle it, or worse, use it against you. But the one who's aligned with your spirit will treat it like gold. He'll hold it not to control you, but to honor the depth of your experience. So until that day comes, protect that pain, nurture it. Let it teach you what it came to teach. Let it shape your boundaries, sharpen your intuition, and strengthen your spirit. Because once you've healed in peace, you'll speak from power, not from wounds. And when you finally tell your story, it won't be a cry for help. It'll be a testimony. Your pain is not a weakness. It's your wisdom, your resilience, your reminder of how far you've come. But not every man deserves front row seats to that process. Some lessons are meant to be learned alone. Some healing is meant to be sacred. And when you finally understand that, you stop handing out your peace to people who haven't earned it. You realize that your pain don't need to be understood. It just needs to be respected. And the right man will always respect it. Every queen needs a strategy. Life ain't just about moving, it's about moving with purpose. You can't play this game loud and expect peace to follow. You can't announce every dream and think everybody listening wants to see you win. You don't tell the world what you're cooking until the plate ready, because when you open the oven too early, you let the heat out. You slow down your own progress by letting too many hands, too many opinions, too many doubts touch what you're building. That's not secrecy, that's protection from sabotage. The truth is, the world don't always celebrate your plans. Some people love you as long as you stay small, as long as your dreams don't stretch beyond what they understand. And when you start talking about doing more, being more, changing more, suddenly their energy shifts. They start planting seeds of doubt, not because they hate you, but because your courage exposes their comfort zone. People project their fears onto your plans. You say, I'm about to start my business, and they say, you sure that's a good idea right now? You say, I'm moving to a new city, and they say, what if it doesn't work out? It's never about you. It's about the limits they placed on themselves. That's why silence is golden when you're in a building phase. Every goal you share prematurely invites two things: doubt and distraction. Doubt kills dreams faster than failure ever could. Distraction keeps you busy with explanations instead of execution. When you tell the wrong people your next move, they'll either discourage you or try to get involved for the wrong reasons. Not everyone wants to help. Some just want access. Some just want to be close enough to say they were part of your success story, even if they didn't contribute to it. I've seen it happen time and time again. Somebody gets a good idea, a clear vision, and before they even take the first step, they're announcing it to the world on social media, in conversations, to people who don't even have the capacity to understand the vision. And what happens? The energy shifts. Suddenly, they start hearing things like, everybody's doing that, or that market's too crowded, or you should wait until next year. Those words plant hesitation. That hesitation grows into fear, and before they know it, the momentum they had fades away. Statistically, people who announce goals before acting are less likely to achieve them because the mind confuses the talk for the work. It's like your brain gets a dopamine hit from saying it, and that satisfaction replaces the urgency to do it. You ever notice how easy it is to talk about what you're gonna do? It feels good, right? But talk don't build nothing. You can't manifest through conversation alone. You gotta protect the plan and put the work in quietly. Let's be real, silence is a superpower. There's strength in moving low and letting your actions speak before your words do. When you operate in silence, you give your dreams space to breathe. You allow your energy to stay pure, your focus undiluted. It's like planting a seed. You don't keep digging it up to show people the roots. You water it, you nurture it, and you wait for the bloom. That's how vision grows. In private. Sometimes even love can be a limitation if they don't see your vision. Not everybody who loves you understands what drives you. You might share your goals with someone who truly cares, but if they've never stepped outside their comfort zone, they'll unintentionally try to pull you back into theirs. They'll say things like, why don't you just stay where you are? You're doing fine. But fine ain't what you came for. You were born to create, to expand, to evolve, not to live inside the boundaries of someone else's fear. I knew a woman once who had a dream of opening her own boutique. She started telling people about it before she even found a location. Some supported her, but a lot of them started throwing shade. You know how hard it is to run a business? The market's oversaturated. Maybe you should wait until you save more. Every word chipped away at her excitement. She started second-guessing herself, delaying decisions, changing plans. A year went by, and she was still talking about it instead of doing it. Then one day, she stopped talking altogether. She went quiet. Nobody knew what she was doing. Then out of nowhere, she launched new store, new brand, new energy. The same people who doubted her were now posting congratulations. That's the power of silence. It protects the dream until it's strong enough to stand on its own. See, silence don't mean fear, it means discipline. It's saying, I don't need validation, I need results. It's choosing progress over attention. Too many people get addicted to the announcement. They want the applause before they've even put in the grind. But applause without results don't mean nothing. When you move quiet, you learn patience. You learn how to enjoy the process instead of performing for the public. You learn that what's meant for you don't need a crowd, it just needs consistency. I remember hearing someone say, let success make the noise. That's real. Let your results speak in a language no one can argue with. You don't need to defend your dreams when the proof is visible. The world respects outcomes, not intentions. You could tell them 1,000 times what you're going to do, or you could just do it once and let them see it. People might doubt your words, but they can't deny your results. And here's the thing, when you keep your next move quiet, you move freely. You ain't got to explain every pivot, justify every risk, or seek permission to evolve. You just move, you adjust, you grow. Every time you talk too soon, you give the world a chance to interfere. Every time you stay silent, you keep control. Silence is freedom, it's focus, it's clarity. There's a saying, never let the left hand know what the right hand's doing. That's strategy. Every queen needs a strategy. The loudest plans are usually the least secure. The real ones build in peace, invest in silence, and reveal in excellence. You got to treat your goals like a chess game, not checkers. Every move you make should be intentional, calculated, protected. Because not everyone watching wants to see you win. Some just watching to study your playbook. So stay low, execute high. Let your work be your witness. Let your progress be your protection. The ones who move in silence are the ones who can't be stopped because you can't block what you don't see coming. Talk less, build more. When your moves are in motion, they can't interfere. When your vision's complete, they can't deny it. Keep your plans sacred, keep your energy clean, and let your results do the talking. A man can say all the right things. I love you, I got you, you're different. Words are easy. They flow smooth when emotions high, when a moment feel good, when everything still in the beginning stages and reality ain't tested the connection yet. But consistency, that's the real language of love. Anybody can say they care, anybody can promise loyalty, but only time reveals if them words got weight behind them. See, love ain't proven in what's spoken, it's revealed in what's shown. You don't need another man who can talk sweet, you need one who moves solid. You can't give your heart to potential, you gotta give it to patterns. That's what separates wisdom from wishful thinking. Too many people fall in love with the idea of who someone could be instead of who they actually are. They see glimpses of greatness, little sparks of effort, and think, if I just love him right, he'll change. But love ain't supposed to be a project, it's supposed to be a partnership. And if you ignore the patterns early on, you end up trying to heal what should have never been broken. So slow down. Observe, pay attention to how he handles pressure, how he speaks about women, how he moves when no one's watching. That's who he really is. You can learn more about a man from what he does in silence than what he says in public. Watch how he treats the waitress. Watch how he talks about his mother, his ex, his sisters. If there's no respect there won't be respect for you either. A man who can't handle life's challenges with maturity will eventually turn his frustrations toward whoever's closest, and too often that ends up being the woman who loves him most. Real talk, lust can feel like love when you're lonely, and attention can feel like affection when you're starving for connection. That's one of the hardest truths to accept. When you've been overlooked, dismissed, or betrayed before, any form of interest feels like comfort. You start mistaking energy for effort, consistency for chemistry, but not every spark means something. Some flames only exist to test how much you've learned from your last burn. And that's why you can't give your heart away too soon. You got to see if his actions can hold up under the weight of his promises. Does he keep showing up even when the mood shifts? Does he follow through after the words fade? Does he take accountability when he messes up, or does he deflect and blame? See, a real man don't just say he values you, he invests in your peace, your growth, your rest. He makes space for you to be soft because he understands the world already made you strong. He ain't intimidated by your power, he's inspired by it. You can always tell a man's character by how he shows up when there's nothing to gain. A lot of them show love when it's convenient, when you're smiling, when everything's easy. But the real ones stay steady when you're tired, when you're quiet, when life gets heavy. That's the difference between comfort and commitment. Comfort shows up when it's easy. Commitment stays when it's hard. There's a story about a woman who thought she found her forever. The man came in like a dream, sweet words, big gestures, constant attention. Every text ended with, I love you. Every morning started with, good morning, beautiful. She thought she finally met her peace. But a few months in, things changed. His tone got shorter, his patience thinner. When she needed him most, his presence disappeared. And one day, when she called him out, he said, I never said I could handle all that. That's when she realized he loved the idea of her, not the reality of her. He loved the version that smiled all the time, not the one that needed support. That's why you wait. You wait until words turn into evidence. You wait until I got you turns into I'm here. You wait until I love you turns into I'm choosing you even when it's inconvenient. Patience is protection. Guarding your heart don't mean you're cold. It means you've learned the value of your emotions.